throwing bottles of water over to the boat. Every athlete now, they all train in these conditions in different parts of the world, unless, as in Hasenwinkel, we were just hearing the weather was less good, but nevertheless, they know how to look after their bodies. They're seriously conscious all the way through. They not only rehydrate, they take salts and one form or other of aid so that their bodies are kept in proper balance.
Well, here are the world champions, 4th in Linz, 6th in Amsterdam. And we're looking for better things today from Jean-Baptiste Maquet and Adrian Hardy. And here are the World Cup leaders, Matthew Wells and Steve Rowbottom, 1st in Linz, 2nd in Amsterdam. And that, of course, a really tough race for them in Amsterdam, beaten by Tonu Hendriksen and Yuri Janssen. There's a strong determination to turn the tables. Itzhak Chop, well, building up to probably his swan song in Beijing. And here's Matthew Trott and his partner Nathan Cohen. Nathan Cohen in the stroke seat, 21 years of age, from Invercargill, silver medalist last year in the under-23 single sculls. And, well, from the youngster to the 41-year-old Yuri Janssen, of course, an Olympic silver medal behind Olaf Tufte in Athens 3 years ago. So, far side, Greece.
Great Britain 1.
France. 2 from the top. Itzhak Chop,
New
great
Zealand,
enthusiast and ambassador for his country.
Estonia,
Lives in Radonica,
Attention.
just a little village close to Bled. Good start by the Slovenians.
And a dreadful start by Estonia. Right? They were different blades in the water, they different arcs, different angles, different everything, and they'll probably win the race. If you're a critic, you've got to point out the faults, whatever, even if it turns out they make no difference at all. These two sculling, this is Slovenia here, Luka Špik in the bow seat, almost invisible, and that was Itzhak Chop. They've been sculling in a rather humpy, heavy way, in a way that the ones that we've just lost the picture of, the Great Britain double, were very strong and very muscular, but not heaving it in quite the same way as Slovenia. But just after I gave you that point about the Estonian start, they are comfortably in the lead by a quarter of a length or more, third of a length, as we go through the first 250.
Second shot just settled back there. New Zealanders here in lane number 5. Nathan Cohen and Matthew Trott on terms with France, the world champions. A slightly brighter start by the French there. 2 from the top of the picture.
Indeed, but the French are very, very good as a whole team for coming up for the World Championships. They don't perform so well through the World Cup season, the 3 World Cups. They go home and they get it back together again. I think they probably keep the cosh pretty heavy over their heads right the way in training, right the way up to these World Cup regattas. They underperform here, and then they come good when the World Championships comes around. It happens year after year. There we have Luka Špik in the hat in the bow seat of that Slovenian double. They were winners at Henley, but Wells and Rowbottom, the Great Britain double, stayed away from Henley, and it was over the Polish double that made the B final that Slovenia won in the at Henley.
So Estonia quickest through the first quarter in 1:31.30, ahead of New Zealand, just under half a second behind. Then Slovenia, and all the pace is actually on the near side.
Interesting, if you watch the Estonian double, it's at the bottom of the picture, it's very easy to see, and the bowman, Tonu Hendriksen, goes in half a blade early on the strokeman, Yuri Janssen. Every stroke, he's just dropping his blades in that much quicker. And so you say, how can it be so fast? The answer is almost certainly that he brings on the work slightly less quickly than Janssen. Janssen obviously picks and works immediately, and Hendriksen has to actually get his sculls in a moment or two before Janssen so that the work comes on together, because they're sending that boat absolutely beautifully. They've got no visible effort at the finish. They just draw it towards the chest and out and away, and they're creaming this field. It is completely baffling when you see these mistakes, but then clearly the mistake is overcome in the water.
Well, the interesting factor is going to be if they can sustain this all the way through. Because remember, we almost wrote them off in Amsterdam and they came through with a very strong burst, but 1,000 metres here This is really impressive.
This is really impressive. And New Zealand in bronze medal position, you know, with the babes. it's at the extremes of age, and all these people, like the Olympic champions, like the world champions, like the world record holders, are trailing. What's going on? I've never heard of lane 6 being assisted at Lucerne. That's a fantasy, so we can't believe in that game anymore.
Yeah, we can talk about the circulation problems at Amsterdam on certain circumstances, but this is the real deal here as they come past the boat enclosures here, and this is a superb first half, but can they maintain this? Can Chop and Spick find anything? Remember, they've done it all. They've been Olympic champions, they've been world champions, they're trying to regain supremacy, and it's proving a really tough call. And the further we go, the further these two are moving ahead, and the angle is different, Hugh, but it's very close, if not already clear water.
It is clear water, because if you line up the boys, you can see that it's clear water. They couldn't do it in the heats, the semi-finals. I mean, this is a slow qualifier. This is the outside qualifier for this final. Totally unimpressive up to then, and now suddenly they've got it together. But it is very nice sculling, in spite of the point that I made earlier. They clearly put the work on so precisely together that the double is much more than the sum of its two parts.
Well, last year's bronze medalist trying to edge into second place, that's Great Britain, and they might be just on the verge of taking second place away from Slovenia. New Zealand still, although the angle is slightly dissected, they're still on the premises there in the pack, but the pack are chasing, and this is extraordinary really now. It is Great Britain who have moved into second place ahead of New Zealand, on the ahead of Slovenia on the near side, on the left of your picture. That's Matthew Trott and Nathan Cohen from Ashburton and Invercargill respectively, and the world champions, there they are, and they're not making any impression whatsoever.
And they're not looking round to see what they ought to do about it. They're just sitting there sculling along and look like they're out training, frankly. Wells and Rowbottom and Spick and Chop, those are the ones in the middle of the picture now, are having a real race as if they were going for gold medals, and they don't seem to be able to do anything about Estonia over in lane 6 that are still open water ahead of Great Britain in second place, half a length up on Slovenia in third place as we go into the last 250 metres.
Yeah, just a quick word about Greece. It's a young partnership, early 20s for Samis and Christou over in lane 1, but it's very good to see that they've actually squeezed into this final. They've done well to do that, and I have to say that the world champions are going to have to find some improvement. On the near side though, Estonia, who've been in charge all the way, and just looking over to their right there, and their victory in Amsterdam is now followed by success in Lucerne from Great Britain in second place, Slovenia, then New Zealand in fourth place, ahead of the world champions, who are just literally floating across the line ahead of Greece.
I thought they looked like they were out training after a hard week, and looked very tired indeed, but he doesn't look tired. He held up his hand in triumph, waiting for his partner to slap it. His partner was sort of thrashing around a bit, looking for his breath. But I think he's 42, not 41, by the way. Yuri Janssen looking absolutely like the king, who's just won a race. And there is a case of a single sculler who has converted to crew sculling after 20 years in the single, which is quite extraordinary that he's got that kind of affinity with anybody else when he spent so long alone. It's like a bachelor getting married suddenly in his late 40s and